And particularly at the time of this incident, we did not see any individual be stabbed or get stabbed within this vicinity. And you can see our overlook gives us a pretty good access. I mean, we would have been able to get a sense of where, where something like that could have happened. It certainly would have triggered a response from the Israeli police. Now, keep in mind, here's where the checkpoint is. Israeli police, according to local Israeli media, suggest that this individual attempted to stab one of the Israeli police individuals that was here. We didn't see any Israeli police officials being treated on the scene. We haven't seen anyone since taken away. We haven't seen anyone here injured among the Israeli police. That is important to make that distinction. What we can say is the individual who came across the corner, and once he came across the corner became directly in my line of sight, did not heed the calls by the police to stop and ultimately was shot further down. The point that you made, and obviously picked up by a lot of the local media here, the individual was dressed in camouflage. I can tell you he was a male. Can't really tell you a lot more about his age. Certainly didn't look to me, and again, I'm ballparking it here, but definitely did not look to me older than 25 years old. It looked from where I was standing, at least, to be a young man. Did not look to be, particularly armed. And again, that was confirmed by the fact that the police ultimately removed his clothes. They didn't find any explosive devices on him. I was trying to keep an eye to see if they were taking anything off of his body, perhaps if they took a gun, if there was a gun that was visible. There was no gun that was visible. And at one point, we can clearly see from where we were lying, from where we were standing, where his body was lying, both of his hands were open and both of his hands did not have a knife. Now, that was after police arrived to the body, so it's very possible.
Yeah, Ayman. Yeah. As a matter of fact, and this is important because, you're covering this story live and you're seeing it once and you're actually witnessing it, not knowing what you're seeing until you actually process it. But in the video that we have, that you have, that is, as you say, I mean, I don't think anybody else has this video, we can clearly see the man in camouflage T-shirt and pants with what appears to be, at least in his right hand, a knife. And take a look at this video right here. We can't really determine what he has on his left hand, but he's holding something in his left hand. And on in his right hand, it's fisted, and you see coming right out of the fist what appears to be like at least a 5-inch or longer black blade. Again, I'm not there. We weren't, and you didn't know this was coming, so you don't know. But it very clearly seems to show a man with a T-shirt, camouflage T-shirt, camouflage pants, an untucked T-shirt. These are important issues. Holding what appears to be in his right hand a knife, in his left hand something that I can't determine what it is. He had already crossed the barrier. You heard over and over again officials telling him to stop. As he is running towards the Damascus gate, open fire. But clearly, it seems to me that he's holding in his left hand something and in his right hand what seems to be a knife.
Right, absolutely, and that's the point I was trying to make, was that when they flipped the body over, when they secured the body, it was at that point that his hands were then emptied, and so that's why it was important that you were making that distinction, because our cameras were able to zoom in. The point that we were making about the when he came around in our line of sight, because everything was moving fast and the fact that the police opened fire on him, it was obviously difficult for us to concentrate at that particular moment. When his body was laying there and the forensics team came by, they certainly removed his clothes. They made sure that he didn't pose an immediate threat. We were talking about the fact that they were making sure that they didn't have any explosive devices on him, and it was at that point that when they opened his hands, that was the part where I was saying to you, once the forensics team that was there going through the scene did not have the weapon in both of his hands. That does not mean that he didn't have a weapon. It just means that particular incident where he became visible to us again, his hands became visible to us with my bare eyes, they were at that point emptied from the weapon that he may have been carrying.
Correct. And let me go back to some of the reporting.